Hey everyone, welcome back. As we wrap up 2024, I first want to say belated Christmas if you're catching this on the day it comes out. As the last episode of this year, I want to wish you and your families a great 2025. If your transition's coming next year, I wish you all the best with it. If I can be a resource, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's also some cool things coming next year. The website's getting an upgrade. We're going to kick off a newsletter, so stay tuned for that stuff. This episode, though, came out of an email conversation with another listener. A little shout out. Thank you, Jerry. I hope you all catch the underlying motivation for the topic and the tips. I'm having a little fun with this episode, you could say. As it relates to transitioning, though, out there, fairness is what you make of it. It's about creating a new foundation where your past serves as a springboard, not an anchor, empowering you to thrive in the next chapter of your life. So be that savage who stacks the deck in your favor. So with that, let's get into round 51 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is injustice for all. For the close range group, those of you transitioning right away or say within a year, seek and destroy. For the medium range group, those of you who are transitioning in, say, 5 years or so, nothing else matters. And for the long range group, those of you early in your careers, you've got a decade plus before your transition, ride the lightning.
You transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know? That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group, seek and destroy. You're in the heat of it. Less than a year to go before your transition. Maybe you're in the middle of it right now. This is where you need to adopt an all-in kind of laser-focused mindset. You need to identify every single obstacle that stands between you and a successful transition, your gaps in your skills, any uncertainties you have, self-doubt, and then take them out with precision. Try this way. Starting with the most important things that you can do is assess yourself. What are your skills? What are your strengths? And what are your goals? Put this into an exercise that you can try. Grab a piece of paper and make 3 columns. In the first column, list all of the skills that you've gained from your time in service. Things like leadership, task completion, crisis management, attention to detail, teamwork. List it all. Get granular. Then in the second column, write down the civilian jobs or the industries that you're looking at or you're considering. And then in the third, draw the connections between your skills and the jobs that you want. Look at where the overlaps are. Are you qualified for multiple different jobs? Most important, if there's a job that you want, what's missing from your skills tool bag? You can also use websites like ONET online or SkillBridge. You'll get a better picture of how your skills translate to civilian jobs. I'll have these links in the show notes. But these websites can show you what companies are looking for and where you're going to fit. Think of this as your intelligence gathering. How can you plan your next move without knowing where you're going to operate? Next, what are your career objectives? If you're still figuring it out, don't panic. However, you don't have a lot of time to make the decision. Start by researching industries, obviously, that excite you. Some go-to spots right now are obviously tech. There's a lot of work in the healthcare industry, and obviously cybersecurity is not going away. And the nice thing about jobs like these, there's a lot of entry points into them. Something else you can do is go check out the Bureau of Labor and Statistics to research what sectors are growing, and more importantly, what are their salary ranges, because it'll help you target jobs that more align with what your interests are, or more importantly, maybe what your financial goals are. You're going to hear me say this a lot. It's about networking. You have to be networking and getting to know people. But the more important component is letting people get to know you. I get it. If you're not comfortable with it at this point, it can be awkward at first, but you got to get over it and just start doing it. Start by leaning on your friends. Get them to make introductions to their contact list. When you talk with those people, one of the things that you can do is ask them if they would connect you with people in their network, helping you grow it. Use LinkedIn. You need to be using LinkedIn. I can't say that enough. Join any groups on LinkedIn that are in your target field. But once you're in those groups, don't just watch. Get in there and be engaged in the post. I would almost say that I'm going to give you a homework assignment. Send 3 connection requests every week to people who are in the industries or with companies that interest you. Make sure you include a personal note. Something like, hi, my name is, I'm transitioning out of whatever your current role or your service organization is. I'm exploring opportunities in the field that they're in. I'd love to hear your insights about an aspect or a topic of those jobs, but make it personal. Yes, you're under the gun right now, but you cannot overlook any of the weaknesses that are in your skills. If there's a job that you want that needs certification or a training class, find a way, even if you have to pay for it out of your own pocket, to get it done. I started out saying that the job market is not fair. Don't think that if you don't have a skill or a certificate, though, that your veteran or first responder status is going to get you a pass. If you don't have a skill or if you don't have that special certificate, you're likely going to get the pass. It's going to be them passing on you. So keep that in mind. Obviously, heading into your transition is the fear of the unknown. Transitioning into the civilian world and into civilian life can almost feel like you're jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. But you know where you can get that parachute, right? It's get yourself a mentor. Find somebody who's been through the process already. Somebody that you trust who can give you the lay of the land, so to speak, of what's going on in the civilian world, especially if it's in a related industry. If you don't know anybody personally, go back again, ask your friends if they know someone. I guarantee you, either you or someone you know has somebody that is in that field or can be a mentor or at least a resource for you. You just have to go find them. You don't really have the time to kind of sit on your hands and procrastinate. Trust me, I like putting things off as much as the next guy. Now is not that time for you, though. The longer you put it off, even the little things, the easier it's going to be to get overwhelmed as you're in the process. Create your mission checklist. Break your transition into, or the planning for that into multiple steps. Little things like your resume is updated or you kind of overhauled so that it's covering everything. Check. Your LinkedIn page is updated. Check. Classes, trainings, or certifications. Check. If there's no checks, then create a deadline for yourself to complete those and get them done. When you head into the hiring process, be as prepared as possible. Walking in unprepared is like heading into a burning building without wearing your turnouts. Research the company. Know what the company is about. Employers like to see that you have a basic knowledge of their company, know what the job is, but even more, know what the job is in its nuance for that company. Job titles can likely be the same, but not all companies are the same in how they address that job. Prepare for the interview. Practice answering anticipated questions. If you don't know the anticipated questions for a given job, again, go find somebody who does. The other thing is always have a question or two ready for the person who's interviewing you. Something simple like, how do you define success in this position with your company? Engage them. Don't just simply wait for them to ask a question and be done. Something to keep in mind. You might want to bring, and I'll call them props, with you. It's a notebook with copies of any letters of commendation, certificates, or service awards you've had or you've got received. Anything else that showcases basically how bitchin' you are. Work them into your answers, and then if the person wants to see them, offer to them. You could say, hey, I've got this notebook right here. Would you like to see them? Those little things that they can hold in their hands and tangible and look at are going to be beneficial to you. If they say they don't want to see them, fine, but at least you have them and you're prepared. Remember, your transition is not just finding the next job. You're finding your new mission. You've got all the tools to win. So step out of your next objective and be ready to go. Have purpose and confidence when you go into this process. You ever feel like your body just isn't keeping up the way it used to? We all know that life doesn't slow down, and sometimes the grind shows up in ways that we might not expect. Lower energy, focus that's a little off, maybe even motivation that isn't quite there. Human Performance TRT knows what it's like to want to get that edge back, and they're here to help you do it without the runaround. A veteran and first responder-owned company, they're not just your typical telehealth service that just hands out prescriptions. Human Performance takes a full view of your health. First, you hop on a video call with one of their expert providers who goes through your goals, your blood work, and any specific needs you've got. From there, they create a personalized plan that goes beyond just hormones. If you need support with mental health, they've got it. If you're looking to get serious about weight management, they can coach you through it. The best part, they keep it flexible. No locked-in subscriptions. As you progress, they're checking in, making adjustments, and keeping your health plan up to date. Because what works today might look different down the line. Everything they do is sent right to your door, hassle-free, so you can stay focused on the things that matter. And here's another benefit. If you're already on a hormone replacement program or have recent blood work, Human Performance makes it easy to transition. If your lab results are less than 6 months old, you could submit those directly. No need for new blood work. They'll review your current levels and build a customized plan based on where you're at now, so you don't have to start from scratch. It's just another way that Human Performance puts you first, meeting you where you're at on your health journey. Human Performance TRT is built around your success. This isn't a one-and-done approach. It's ongoing with real guidance because your health deserves more than just a quick fix. If you're ready to take the next step towards optimized health, check out Human Performance and see what a real personalized approach looks like. And for listeners of the Transition Drill podcast, use the promo code TDP for 10% off throughout the entire time you work with Human Performance. So head over to hptrt.com and remember to use the promo code TDP, that's Tom David Paul, for 10% off your program. Medium range group. Nothing else matters. You've got about 5 years before your transition. Yeah, the runway is long enough to make some strategic and deliberate moves, but not so long that you can kick back and just let things happen on their own. You need to kind of focus on what truly counts and setting yourself up to drive through that transition and be the best you can when that time comes. So first, what really matters to you? I'm talking about at your core, What drives you? What are your values? Do you just want to make the most money you can? Maybe your next job is something about meaning or purpose to your soul, to your inside. Are you looking to promote up the corporate ladder and be somebody who's in command? Do you want a mix of all this? Now's when you need to define and create a clarity about what those goals are. You can start by creating a personal mission statement. Think of this as your North Star, your compass that guides you. It doesn't have to be a novel. It's a few sentences that are concise and capture your values and your goals. For example, something like, I'm committed to building a career that combines leadership, innovation, and work-life balance. Whatever it is that is your mantra that gives you purpose. Creating this and giving yourself clarity will make every decision moving forward intentional. When you have this, I'll call it your life heading, you can now start investing in your future. You start first by your education. You don't have to necessarily think about education as formal or college. You know, it could be training courses that you've done. It could be hands-on experience, but continue to develop your skills aimed at the job you want. Maybe some of those skills are soft skills, like being a good leader or a mentor. Don't overlook how important those are. The key thing is, though, your focus has to be directly connected to the next career you want. Now, if your next job requires specific certifications or a specific degree, then start now and get it done. Do your research, figure out what's needed. You want that executive position. It's likely going to require a college degree. More importantly, probably a master's degree. If you are going to go to college, consider this. Weigh out how much is it going to cost you, and in relation, how much can you earn? Is there a return on the investment? There are a lot of people, and there are a lot of prestigious MBAs. And granted, they look nice on a piece of paper. But if the position you want just simply requires that you have a master's degree, then maybe not spend so much on a prestigious MBA and maybe get a degree in human resources or project management, something that gives you flexibility depending on where you're going to go, but still be able to check the box of master's degree. I've had guests who have gone and gotten their MBAs. And yes, some of them are using those MBAs. Most of them, though, are using the networks that they've developed while going to some of those more prestigious schools. So you got to kind of weigh it out. What's going to be most beneficial to you? If you're looking at tech, focus on certifications like AWS cloud computing, get your CISSP, your CompTIA, your Cisco network associate, all of those things that are specifically related to the tech industry or the cybersecurity industry. Regardless what it is, though, make it valuable to you and make it valuable to your next career. Again, do your intelligence gathering within the industry that you want to get to. Talk to the people doing the job. Research the job descriptions and the postings and see if something's required. If it's required, go get it. If it's preferred, then consider the time and cost involved as to whether or not you're going to try to go after it. If you're saying, I don't have time to go back to school or take extra training, here's the thing. You don't have to do it all right today. You've got a few years ahead of you. You could take one certification course a year. You could start with one college course a semester, a quarter, whatever the college is, that how it operates. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but you should get it done as soon as you can. These next 5 years, if you just do a little of these small steps, they're going to add up to huge gains. You can look into tuition assistance, Veterans, use your GI Bill. You don't have to be out to use your GI Bill. If your organization, maybe they have tuition reimbursement, all these little things can help maybe offset some of the costs. The next thing you need to do, though, is, again, I'm circling back around to this, networking. I can't say this enough, and you're going to constantly hear me say it. But for you, where it's different is because you've got that little time, you can be more strategic with it. Yes, gathering your connections on LinkedIn are important. I'm not underselling that. But just having connections on LinkedIn by themselves is not enough. You need to build and kind of foster a relationship that matters. Build a circle of people who, and this may sound weird, but they're working for you. People who are going to they're going to know when the next spots are that open up within a company. People who are going to give you information about new things or changes occurring in the industry. People who are going to, when the time is right, are going to be the ones to put in that good word for you to that organization. So what I would do is start right now and identify 10 people that you already know. Don't worry about, this is not about making new connections. You already know these people, but they have to be able to help you in your transition. If they're not somebody who you already know or have a good relationship with them, then build that connection. If you already know them, rebuild that connection. But basically, get a group of about 10 people who are really on your side. Offer to take them to lunch. Offer to buy them a cup of coffee. You don't have to do it all at once. Do it one at a time. But be specific and explain to each of them why or what your goal is, why you need their assistance in preparing for your transition. Be genuine with them. If they recommend you do something, do it. Show that what they're willing to give to you in their time and assistance is important. Also, over the next, I would say, year, identify 10 new people that are already in the field that you want to connect with. Make connections with them. Obviously, you can start on LinkedIn, but if you can get it through a friend of a friend connection, great. However you do it, find 10 new people. Then do everything you can to take that connection beyond just simply connected on LinkedIn. You want to get new information, get additional information from these people. They're going to, here's a practical example. Find out of an industry event or something that might be going on in your area. If you know they're going to attend, do everything that you can to try to attend also and meet them in person. If you don't know that they're going, still go to industry events anyway. More than likely, they are going to provide you with a list of attendees. Review the list, find people that are working for the companies or have a specific job title that you're interested in, and make the goal to meet at least 2 or 3 while you're at that conference. But what you're doing is once you're establishing this new working relationship with these new people, and don't forget the people that you're already connected with, but look how big your network can already start growing. Stay with it. Obviously, new people that you meet, a simple thank you email after you meet them just to keep that door open. But then don't let it fall off. These are going to go a long way with keeping those connections current and alive. If they stay active, great. Engage them, stay connected with them. If they fall off, maybe today they're really interested in talking to you, but all of a sudden you kind of fall by the wayside and they're not returning emails or whatever, then replace them. Find somebody new that can take their place. But again, keep building that network of people who have benefit to you and can help you in your transition. Over these next few years, run your transition like a business. Make weekly appointments for yourself to handle transition business. Priorities. Prioritize that time like you would any other important commitment. And while you're doing all these things, you're inevitably going to raise your performance. You're going to raise your capital in your current job. If not, then reevaluate what you're doing and is it beneficial for you? Because I would imagine that all of this should be having a positive impact on you personally, which should impact how you are professionally. And are you leveraging all of this new information, all these new training classes to grow your current opportunities through what you're doing at work and these new connections? This is about feeding your personal value. Think of this as a win-win or something for something. You're building towards a stronger future, obviously, but you're looking to do it to maximize the present. Maybe you haven't considered it until now. Consider promoting. Could a promotion over the next 4 or 5 years open more opportunities once you get to your transition? But remember, all that matters right now is getting to your transition better prepared than you are today.
This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand and lifestyle. And while they're masters of cold brew, Trident's beans are roasted to create a flavor that shines whether you drink it hot or cold. There's no bitterness, there's no burnt taste, it's just good tasting coffee. Their coffees taste amazing hot, which is how I prefer it, while still designed to excel as a cold brew. But Trident Coffee is more than just great taste. Trident supports your wellness journey, featuring ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. So if you're looking for a coffee that meets you wherever your day takes you, hot or cold, you need to check out Trident Coffee. I know I said I prefer hot coffee, but here's a tip from me. Mix their instant cold brew with your favorite protein for a protein coffee drink that's great cold. You can thank me later. I know there's a lot of coffee options out there, but give Trident a try. I know you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. That's TDP15 for 15% off your order.
Long range group. You got to ride the lightning. With over a decade to go, you might feel like you have an eternity. Or worse, like it's not worth worrying about it yet. But here's the truth. The time is your greatest asset, but don't think because there's an apparent abundance that you can waste it. Lean into being bold and forward-thinking and taking actions and decisions today that create and curate a perfect package for when you transition. We've already talked about the benefits of education. For you right now, I would say get on that train. More education has never hurt anyone, but you don't have to necessarily race to getting a degree. Maybe you take a class towards your degree, then maybe take a class that just purely interests you, or better yet, maybe it challenges you to kind of think outside your box or gives you a different way of seeing and thinking about things. Think of your education as growing your mind in the sense of how you think about things as much as it grows your knowledge. I strongly encourage you to consider leadership opportunities and promotional opportunities. Leadership is definitely something that is going to be sought after in your transition. However, there's one thing to learn is that leadership principles are great, and there's having the leadership knowledge from a book, and then there's having the experience applying those principles. Being a leader or being a good leader comes with practice. Yes, you can study for it, but doing it makes you a better leader. Because you're early in your career, maybe you aren't eligible yet for the next promotion level. That's okay. Talk with your current boss. Tell them what your goals are. Ask for their mentorship in helping you achieve those goals. even if you don't respect them as a leader, you need to appeal to their ego in asking for your assistance. They're your boss. You don't have to be the leader that they are, but you will need their help in moving up since you work for them, and they're going to have a direct impact on your ability to promote up. So engage them in your journey. Other things that you can do right now while you're waiting to be eligible to promote, lead by example. Be that person that's always on time. Don't be the one who just complains just to complain or just to bitch. And the other thing is, think about the junior people that are coming in the door every day. Be a mentor to those new people and help them along. Even if you don't have a lot more experience than them, you have a little bit more. Ask your boss now, or any opportunities you can, take on more responsibility. Volunteer to lead any type of new project. Go to any type of leadership programs that you can get yourself into. Read books, take online classes. The other thing I would say is always be curious. Be willing to experiment. You don't necessarily have to know your transition career right now. The best thing you can do is look at everything. Maybe already you don't really know where you want to go, but you might have ideas. Examine them. Push towards whatever your goal is. But on the other hand, don't be afraid that, hey, I'm not really sure about this today. I want to look at it. Oh, that's not working. Or, man, this is really working for me. I want to keep moving towards it. But regardless, don't be afraid to pivot, because the worst thing you can do is start heading down a path thinking that that's what you want to do, whatever it is, and then feel stuck or that you're too committed. If you can, put yourself in a volunteer position or test the waters in as many pools as possible. Basically, you want to think of yourself like Goldilocks, but be on steroids. You know, she had 3 beds to choose from. You should try 100. Okay, maybe I'm being a little extreme, but what I mean is there's so many potential opportunities out there. The jobs we do today are just jobs. We don't have to do them when we transition. Go find and try as many different options as you can so that you can make that informed decision about leading your career. Another thing to consider, though, is control your finances right now. And there's several reasons for this. But the most important is create that giant safety net or that giant buffer zone when you're older. Make sacrifices now and maximize your long-term savings so that when you get to your transition and you're really old, you have a huge pile of money. Everything's paid off. You can just go and enjoy life. That's not a bad plan. But there's always that other but. Our transitions from these careers don't always go according to our plan. So squaring away your finances today, having that rainy day fund, not living under a mountain of debt keeps you free. And what I mean by free is free from that, oh shit, if transition comes unexpectedly. But even, and I'll call it better, if you're agile and able to pivot, you have the discretionary funds that give you that emotional freedom. So let's say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is, this career isn't really what you thought, or it's just not really working for you. You can leave. If an opportunity presents itself and you really want to go do that, you can go do that, because far too many of us get into this, I'll call it the web of the pension and the paycheck each month. We never really looked beyond that. But worse, we lived beyond our comfortable means, and we got to that point that we no longer have choices. Always keep your exit door open. And the way you do it best is by carrying the least amount of baggage that has to go through it with you. Think of your future like a garden. Cultivate that growth mindset. Don't stagnate yourself in these careers if they're not what you want to do. And always be looking to improve your position, both within your organization and your long-term vision for you and your career. Ultimately, be looking at your transition. Make yourself as best prepared as possible and bring so much skills and experience that you're invaluable when you get to your transition. Take the chances now. You've got time ahead of you. You're going to experience some setbacks. Setbacks aren't failures. They're just a hiccup. And it gives you a chance to learn. Do what you can to get outside of your comfort zone. Put yourself in uncomfortable positions. New leadership opportunities, new project opportunities, new team opportunities, whatever it is. By putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, that's how you grow and become more resilient. If you're always challenging yourself to attack problems, be the one that finds the solution. All of these things not only make you valuable today, but they make you valuable to a lot more organizations tomorrow. Okay, let's close this out. Close range group. Seek and destroy. Identify any obstacles and eliminate them and win that war that's going to be your transition. Medium range group. Nothing else matters. Focus on what truly counts, your values, your goals. Keep your eyes on the prize, and step by step, you'll succeed and achieve it. Long range group. Ride the lightning. Most of us envy you. Time is your greatest asset. Every small action or opportunity you take now creates momentum so that when the time comes, you're not just prepared, you're unstoppable. As always, thank you for listening or watching the episode. Hopefully you get what drove the topic and the tips, and that you liked kind of the lighthearted approach to it. But yet, I still think the information was impactful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out, send me an email. I'd love to hear from any of you. Don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and please share it with anyone else who you think could benefit or enjoy it. And until next time, the transition journey ahead isn't about waiting for fairness to find you. It's about creating it, because it's not just always about and justice for all.